Empire. Welcome to another edition of College Park. I am Kevin McClinton with my co-host Darren McClinton.
What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Oh, how about that game last night?
Oh my goodness. They're playing well. They're playing really, really well.
9 in a row.
9 in a row. And all of Terps Nation right now I know is so ecstatic about just the way they're playing and the attitude and the moxie and the swag that they're demonstrating on the court. I'm excited, man. There's a lot of good things coming. A lot of basketball still needs to be played, but I know you got to feel real good about where Maryland is right now.
I'll tell you what, Penn State lost, so now Maryland is 2 full games ahead in the loss column, solely sitting in first place.
Yeah.
And my man Stix had a big part in that.
Oh my goodness.
What kind of game was that?
22 and 19? Is that what it was?
Yeah, he had his 9th straight double-double. He had his double-double in the first half. He had like 10 or 12 rebounds in the first half.
Yeah.
On his way to a very memorable game.
And that's what great players do. They find a way to put their stamp on the game early, and that's what he did. You know, you can see his game. He's got so much confidence right now. You know, and he feels good about where he is. You know, he's doing things. I mean, he's looking for his shot. He's rebounding. He's playing great defense, and that's what you want a great player to do, is to find a way to put a stranglehold on the game and lead his team.
His first bucket was a 3, kind of near the top of the key over on that right slot.
Yeah.
And it was just all net.
And there's no hesitation on his shot.
Not at all, right? And then he got a couple really nice highlight reel alley-oop plays from Cowan. I mean, those guys are on the same page. We talked about it in the last segment, podcast, man. It was those guys are they know what each other are doing. So it's a beautiful thing to watch. And when they're playing like that, it's the best inside-outside combination in the country.
Yeah, I think we got to look at Maryland as one of the top teams in the country. And I mean, I say top teams in the country. I mean a legitimate threat to win the national championship. If they can continue to take care of business. Yeah. You know, and
Stix
and
is a Wooden Award finalist. They've narrowed it down to 20, and you know he started off the season a little bit slow. He's been coming on like gangbusters. I mean, 9 straight double doubles.
Yeah.
You know who the last person to get 10 straight was?
Who?
Tim Duncan.
Wow.
And now he's putting himself in that kind of conversation. You know, rubbing elbows with these kind of names.
Right.
You know what I mean? Joe Smith,
Right.
Tim Duncan. He's having a hell of a season. He is.
I can't think of a season like this in a long time for Maryland.
You're right.
I can't think of one.
Especially from a big.
I mean, I can't think of – he's really –
Now he's put the work in, Kat.
He has. He has. You can see he's put the work in for sure.
You know, we're going to talk to Rasheed Wallace in a little bit. Rasheed Wallace, I know all the Terp fans, when they hear that name, they have nightmares about facing number 30 in that baby blue. Yeah. But Rasheed had a chance to work with him for a couple of summers with the Nike Skills Academy. And we're going to get his insight on what he sees from then to now, and then also talk to him a little bit of get some throwback in there about when he played with Joe Smith.
Those are some great games,
weren't they?
He and Joe going against each other. That's when the ACC was the ACC, and that was beautiful basketball. And still miss the ACC a little bit, just a little bit. But now that Maryland has established themselves in the Big Ten, we can start to fiend away from the fact that we're not in the ACC anymore and focus on this Big Ten. But those ACC days were special, I'm telling you. It's going to be good to talk to Rasheed and find out what he's doing now and what he thinks about Jalen, as you mentioned, what he thinks about Jalen's game and working with him and all those good things. And
big time point of view right there.
Oh, my goodness, absolutely. So
let's get to it.
Yeah.
Yo.
Rasheed Wallace.
What's good?
How you doing? It's Darren McClinton and Kevin McClinton here with College Park.
How you doing, Rasheed?
Yo. What's good, Jen?
Hey, we wanted to get your take on the young boy, Jalen Stix Smith, Maryland's big man that's playing lights out basketball right now. We want to ask you a few questions about him. I know you had him a couple years ago in the Nike Skills Academy, but first off, for the listeners, why don't you catch us up on what you're doing nowadays? What's going on with you?
Well, for me personally, I coach high school basketball down here in Durham, North Carolina. I'm coaching at Charles Jordan High School. It was my first year. Unfortunately, we just lost Monday night in the little conference playoffs, so that eliminated us from going to the state playoffs. But for the first year, we did pretty good. You know, I had a lot of underclassmen, so we're going to be a nice little squad next year.
How you like coaching, man?
Oh man, I love it, man. And my main thing, it ain't even really related to basketball. It's a lot of what my high school coach did for me, and it's basketball is related to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all hand in hand with life lessons and basketball.
You had a storied career at the famous Simon Gratz High School up in Philly. So I know you're taking a lot of what you learned and your experiences there, and you instilling that in these young kids down there in Durham. I know that's right.
Oh, definitely. I have to. You know, my high school coach actually just left from down here. Bill Ellerby was my coach at Gratz the years that I was there. And he actually just left last week. He came down for a few games and critiqued me and critiqued my team. And, of course, you know, I take it all in stride. I'm not going to sit up here and you know, go crazy and wild on him like, oh, man, you can't say that about my team. You know, no, I know he know what he's talking about. So you always got to have your ears open and your mouth shut when, you know, your elders is giving you some advice in the same business that you're in, because I'm trying to travel the path that he did with, I think, 5 or 6 city championships, 3 or 4 national championships, and, you know, working at Temple, and he worked under John Chaney himself. So I'm just trying to do my coach proud.
Rasheed, this is Kevin McClinton, man. I wanted to talk to you a little bit. I mean, you had an unbelievable career at the University of North Carolina and then on in the NBA, and you're just a great player. And I know you're doing a lot with some bigs. You're working with some bigs and training them. And, you know, I know you've had an opportunity to work with Jalen Smith, and, you know, he's had a phenomenal season so far at the University of Maryland. Tell me what you think about him. What are your thoughts on Jalen and, you know, not only where he is now, but how far he's come and your work with him when you get a chance to be with him?
I think the biggest thing about Stix is his motor. You know, he shuts his mouth and he listens. He goes out there and he tries. You know, of course, you're not going to get nothing right the first time you try it, but that didn't deter him. And when we were doing, it was certain mornings out there at the Nike Skills Camp where they had the kids lifting weights or, you know, doing that gym workout in the morning, and the bigs were there for one morning, and then the guards were there for the other morning, and then the swingman was there for that final morning. Mm-hmm. So he led, you know, his group. I think it was like maybe a group of 3 or a group of 4 guys all working out together amongst the bigs. And Jay, you can see he was a hard worker, man. You can see that while he was in the weight room. You can see that out on the court. And it's showing now. Like, I think it's the tip of the iceberg for him, and it's really saying something for him, because right now, even though I'm an ACC guy myself, mm-hmm. I gotta admit, probably the Big Ten right now is the toughest conference in the country, and he's one of the elite bigs in that conference.
One of the main things, you know, from, you know, Terp Nation was the fact that he came back. You know, he had an opportunity to maybe leave last year and test the waters in the NBA, but he made the choice to come back and work on his game. And
he put on about 25 pounds of muscle too.
Yeah, he put on some weight, and I know that was probably part of the process to get him ready to, you know, to get ready for the NBA when he decides to come out. What do you think about some of these kids? Some of these kids are really anxious to get into the NBA and you know, and test those waters. But then there's also something to be said for kids that come back and want to work on their craft and get better at the college level. What's your advice to them? What's your advice to kids that want to come back and play? And at the college level?
Well, I see it really personally as a 50-50 thing. I roll with both sides. I'm with the kids. Like if that's his dream or his parents' dream to see his name on the back of an NBA jersey on TV on Sunday afternoon, on Thursday night with Barkley and Kenny and them, then I'm not one to deter him from that dream. I'm going to just try to either, one, do the best that I could do to prepare him, or two, share words of wisdom with him with the things that he's about to go through being 18 years old.
Right.
So then with the guys who do go back to school, of course, that's also great as well, because now you're working on your craft. That means you have somewhat of a little bit of sense, and you're honing in on your craft more.
Right.
What am I good at? When you're a freshman, unless you're a 5-star freshman coming in there, then, hey, that what they could do. But if you're not and you're working on that craft, then you know what you have to do. Your specific part of the game, what you bring to the team. And I think it's nothing wrong with going back to school or staying, 2 or 3 years and then going to the league. And obviously, as y'all just mentioned, Stix put on about 20, 25 pounds, and we know it ain't fat. So it's all muscle. He's still getting up and down that court.
Yeah. So, and that's great stuff, Sheed, man. And last night, he had a monster game. Stix had 22 points and 19 rebounds against Northwestern. And I know all the fans were just hoping that ball will come off one more time so he can grab that rebound and get 2020 game. If he would have gotten that, he would have been the first Terp to have a 2020 game since 1995. Now we're going back to your time and with Joe Smith. So tell the listeners a little bit about your battles with Joe Smith back in the Dean Dome and then the Cole Fieldhouse.
Actually, my battles with Joe Smith started before that, when we were in basketball camp. 5-star and things like that up in Homestead. But when Joe was at Maryland, he had let me see. All right, I'm reaching, but I'm trying to remember the starting five. I know it was Keith Booth, X-Ray,
Johnny Rhodes,
Jay Rhodes, and I can't.
Dwayne Simpkins.
Simpkins. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but they were more formidable foes.
Yep.
To be honest, Joe was one of the leading scorers in the country at that time. I think he was averaging like 25 at least, 25 and 12 or somewhere in that neighborhood. But yeah, it was always some great games against those guys because a majority of them was DMV kids.
Right.
Yeah.
So with them playing at home, I got to rep my squad. And with me playing against a lot of them in high school and, high school tournaments and summer leagues and all that jazz, it just made it better. And that was when guys were playing basketball. No, I'm not going to let you have this 2 points or this. No, I'm not going to let you do this crossover move or whatever. No, we're going to ball today.
Right. Well, I know one thing, Rasheed, that really has stood out to me is the fact how the NBA has changed. Just from, when you played, then obviously the game is more spread out. A lot of players are shooting threes now, and there's not really a lot of bigs, not any, not like when you were growing up or when you were playing or when I was playing, the traditional bigs, not many of those. And I want to go back to Stix for a minute as far as how you think his game will transition into the NBA when he does come out. What do you think now with the NBA the way it is and the way Stix plays? Can he be a difference maker at the next level with the way he plays? What do you think about his game moving forward?
I think he could be the classic big man.
Okay.
He has good footwork. He has post moves. And I wouldn't say it's not a big rush for him to be able to shoot threes. No, go with that 12 or 15-footer. Master that first. You have to be a first-degree black belt before you can become a second-degree black belt. So master that mid-range game first, and then it's going to be selective plays depending on your coach where you might step out to the corner or something like that. But I think if he remains down low, he can definitely become a household name in the NBA because he's athletic. He's about 7'1", good strength, good speed, a good knowledge of the game, good know-how, good knack, and he doesn't step outside of his range. And what I mean by step outside of his range, he stays within his game. He knows what he's good at. He knows, all right, if I run the floor, I can get early buckets, boom, go in here, bang for a couple rebounds, this and that. He knows his game. He doesn't do anything where you look at him, in my opinion, he doesn't do anything where you look at him where you're like, man, what are you doing, son?
Right.
You know, you're not getting on him about something. So, but then again, I'm also looking at it from the outside in. I'm not in Maryland's practice every day, or I'm not watching Maryland's game all the time. So I'm just going off of the few games. I've seen Stix play maybe about 5-6 times this year.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's good stuff, Sheed, man. I want to thank you for taking the call and giving us a little bit of insight from your point of view. I really think that Stix is going to, close this season out and have one of the better seasons that a Maryland Big has had in the history of this program. And, I know he worked with you, and I want to congratulate you on what you're doing down there with your high school, and continue to do the things with the Nike Skills Academy. And I'll see you in a little bit this summer.
Oh, definitely, D-Mac. Appreciate you too, Kev.
Thanks a lot, Sheed. I appreciate you, brother, man. Have a good one.
Way to keep doing what y'all doing, man.
Thank you, man. That was good stuff from Rasheed, wasn't it?
Yeah. Rasheed's my guy, man. We do some work together with Nike in the summertime, man. I've gotten to know him over the past couple summers, man. He's a really good guy with a wealth of knowledge.
I was interested in finding out from him about what kind of pro he thought Stix could be. The way the game has changed now, and there's a lot more emphasis on shooting the ball, and Stix has proved to be a very good shooter. So if
you can remember, Sheed was one of the bigs that stepped out to the 3-point line like it was nothing. He always had a high shooting percentage back in his Carolina days.
Yeah.
But when he got to the pros, man, he really stepped it out to the NBA range, man. He can shoot it with the best of them. He shoot it with the guards, and for him to point that out about he likes Stix's jump shot out to the 3-point line, but there's no rush to go out there. That's kind of what he did. He mastered the mid-range and then move out and then master the 3-point shot. I think, moving on to the next level, Stix is climbing up the mock drafts, by the way.
Yeah.
And moving on to that next level, what I think the pros, scouts, and executives and personnel like about him is his defensive versatility. He's long. I'm not sure what his wingspan is, but he's wiry. He's put on about 25 pounds of muscle, but it hasn't slowed him down. He runs the floor like a gazelle. And, what they want from big men in today's NBA is, can you step out on that pick and roll and contain it? You don't have to stop the guard, but contain the guard for a second or two. Stay in front. And Stix can do that. He's able to guard the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for stints of time in the college game. So I think he won't have a problem at all transitioning to the next level.
Well, I like what she said about the mid range, like you talked about, because one thing I would like to see Stix do is being able to attack, but off of 1 dribble, 2 dribble pull up. He can catch and shoot. He can turn and face. He can do all those things that a big is asked to do now. He does it very well. But being able to attack his opponent, being able to attack who's guarding him, and dribble, pull up. Once he gets that down, he's going to be a special offensive player because he has those other parts of his game that are already starting to come out or have already come out. If he can just get that part of his game and continue to work on his inside game, like Rasheed said, work on your inside game. Don't get away from that. You know what I mean? Don't get away from that just because the NBA now focuses a lot on being able to shoot the basketball. Work on your inside game. Work on your post game. Work on your post defense. All those different types of things, which is going to help you continue to be successful and effective in the NBA. If he can do that, man, he's got a long career ahead of him.
And the key thing you said is work.
Yep.
And that's one thing he has no problem doing. His work ethic is impeccable.
Yeah.
I've been around the kid since the AAU days with Team Takeover and his high school days with Mount St. Joe over here in Baltimore. And the kid, he gets better and better and better every year. He played behind and alongside, as well as alongside Bruno last year. and Bruno was impressing all the NBA scouts, and Stix was there, finding his way, biding his time, but working on his game.
Right.
And he brought something in his sophomore campaign this year, things that you didn't see last year. But he was working. Right. And when we had Cowan on, and he said that, they play pickup together all the time, trying to get their continuity and trying to get that relationship, growing that relationship. And you can see it. You can see it. The result of a lot of hard work and a great work ethic, the proof comes out in the pudding.
Right.
And Stix is showing that night in and night out. I'm proud of him.
I know he had a great game against Michigan State. And
yes, he did.
Also as well, obviously, against Northwestern. That Michigan State, man.
What about that finish?
Yeah. That's when you're a good basketball team, because there was a couple things you had to worry about. I mean, Maryland hadn't been doing well against Michigan State.
Right.
They struggled against Michigan State, and I think it was a psychological thing with them. But to be able to overcome that, slay that dragon, overcome them coming back like they did, because I'll be very honest with you, I was worried. When Maryland got off to that big lead in the first half, and then Michigan State ended up on that run to finish the first half, and then the second half they just kept it going, I was a little concerned, because I was wondering if Maryland was going to fold and just say, you know what, okay, we lost this game, we're still in first place in the conference, let's move on, or were they going to fight? And they fought. And Anthony Cowan, I mean, what can you say for him to really step up like he did those last couple of minutes and prove to be the senior and the leader that he's been all year long, really speaks volumes. But they put together a nice win.
They did. And Cowan's coming off Big Ten Player of the Week for the third time.
Rightfully so, well deserved.
Oh, that finish. And then he steps up with 19-5 or 19-6 against Northwestern. So those guys, like I said, man, I think they're, if not the best 1-2 combination in the country, they're right there in the conversation.
Well, I know we've got Coach Matt Brady coming up, assistant coach for University of Maryland. I'd be interested to get his insight on what he sees from Anthony, and as well as Stix, and just where they are right now as a team, and what's changed from where they were in December to what's going on now. So we'll have Coach Matt Brady, assistant coach for University of Maryland, coming up next.
Darren, how you doing?
I'm good. Coach Brady.
Yeah, how are you, my man? All good?
I'm doing great, man. I'm here with my brother Kevin, and we're
Hey, Kevin.
How you doing, Coach?
And I know you.
I'm doing great, Kevin.
Coach, have you come down from the victory last night and that big victory up in Michigan State yet, man?
Darren, in this league, if you don't come down mighty fast, you're going to fall the next game out. So it was great for a few hours. We all woke up. We're back to work. The good thing is we do have a few days of preparation for our next opponent, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Coach, I wanted to, first of all, congratulations. You guys have had a phenomenal season so far, and I know as a coach your work is never done. You're always looking to the next opponent, trying to figure out, how to get that next victory. But, kind of right now where you guys are, being the seventh ranked team in the country, what's the mindset? I think that, I know Terps Nation wants to know, like, really, what are you all thinking as far as, what's the mindset in that Maryland locker room? How are you guys feeling right now about the way you're playing?
Well, we obviously love the record. We do think we've played well, Kev. We know that we've got to continue to play with grit and toughness. But it's a very together team. It's a great locker room. Every guy on this team, whether they get in or they don't get in the game, they all recognize they're a huge part of our success. And we're going to just have to continue to work really, really hard. The next 5 games we play are basically at-large opponents. These are 5 teams that are going to play in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
By all estimation. So, and now we're the hunted, and we're the circled group, with these next opponents. So we're going to continue to fight as hard as we can. We're going to stick together. Adversity is always right around the corner, so we're going to hope we continue to play well.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. I know in December, right around that time, it was a little bit. There's some adversity you guys are dealing with. I know the Mitchell twins and that whole situation. I think you all had a couple games that you lost. What changed in that locker room? I mean, you guys are a totally different team now from where you were in December and early January. What changed? What happened to you guys to really propel you to where you are right now?
Well, I do think the attitude became, right after Christmas, because we came off a really disheartening loss at Seton Hall University where we played poorly. We didn't play with the energy that Coach Sturgeon expected us to have. And then when we came out of Christmas break, we met as a group. We met as, the players met, the coaches met. We met as a program. And we all said that we knew we needed to play better basketball, but we needed to play with great heart and determination. And Coach Sturgeon uses the word grit, kind of our buzzsaw word for the season, that we need to play with more grit. And I think once we got the attitude right after Christmas, this is a group that's been 100% all bought in. And I think that's what you're going to see for the rest of the year. Adversity may show its face to us, Kev, but I do think that this group believes in each other right now.
I want to ask you a little bit. I know that you work closely with Anthony Cowan as well as myself, and you've seen the progression. You've seen the growth in his game. Talk to us a little bit about how you feel as your point guard, you watching your point guard mature right in front of you and doing some of the things that you ask him to do, and you seeing it materialize, and it's helping your team.
Yeah, as you know, Darren, Anthony's been a great scorer his whole life. What this group needed was facilitation from him. He's got such a terrific basketball IQ. He's such a competitive guy. I think the previous 3 years, as he's competed, he's recognized he's been able to score, and he's used his scoring prowess to try and help propel his team to victory. But I think really this first year, this is the first time he's really tried to get everybody involved, and he's done it from the very beginning of the game. And he's passing across the court and into the post, and his lob pass. To me, it's really the great, story to be told about this team. Obviously, Stix has been phenomenal, but Anthony Cowan taking a step back and not being quite as aggressive a scorer, but a much more involved passer has been really the key to our improvement as a team.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Coach, you
had a big part of that, no doubt.
Yeah, he has, absolutely. He gets humble every now and then, but he knows the impact he's had on Ant. Coach, last thing I want to ask you is, from an assistant coaching standpoint, you guys are kind of in the background. The head coach gets a lot of credit, but you guys really, really put a lot of work in as far as recruiting and scouting and putting together game plans, things of that nature. Tell us a little bit about what your role is as far as for the Terps and what you really focus on to help Coach Sturgeon and help this team be successful.
You know what? It's interesting you should ask. We have a group that comes in almost every night of the week, and I try and be there as often as I can when I'm not out recruiting. I'm actually in Philadelphia getting ready to walk into a game now, Kevin.
Okay.
We have a group of 6 or 7 guys that come almost every night before a game, night after a game, nights like tonight. And it's really been fascinating to watch. And I'm just there as a positive force, let those guys know that their work is valued, it's seen, it's appreciated. And if I can add anything to the mix, that's been great. But so the player development thing is a big part of what we're trying to do with Maryland. We're trying to improve in all facets of that. And the recruiting, as I just mentioned, I'm walking into a game up here in Philadelphia. Coach Sturgeon's out, Coach Bino's out, Coach Gray. We're all working as hard as we can to make the product as solid as we can.
Well, you guys do a great job as a Maryland alum. I really like what you guys are doing, man. We're all proud of you, and we're looking forward to the rest of the season and really how far we can go. But kudos, man. Congrats to the season so far.
Thanks,
but I know we got a lot of work to do, but I know you got to go. But I appreciate you coming on the show, my man.
Kevin and Darren, you guys are the best. All us Terp fans out there, we love you guys.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you. Good stuff from Coach, huh?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's always interesting when you hear from an assistant coach.
Yeah.
Rather than a head coach, because the assistant coach, they don't get the glory when you're doing well. They don't get the blame when you're not doing well. But they're just as important, and they're right there every day in the trenches with the squad. And sometimes I love hearing from assistant coaches and what their take is and what they think was a turning point. And it was interesting to hear him say what that turning point was around Christmas time after they lost to Seton Hall.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a trust factor that head coaches have with their assistant coaches because they rely so heavily on them. And Coach Brady talked about, what he does and just his impact on the team and what he's looking for. And it's just good to hear, inside the locker room as far as what's important to them and how they see where they see their team. Because outside looking in, we see them a certain way, but you really kind of peel the layers back with coaches, and they can tell you exactly what's going on with their team. So,
Matt Brady comes to College Park with a wealth of knowledge. He was there at St. Joe's in their glory days with Jameer Nelson and Delonte West, and he has head coaching experience at James Madison, winning 20. He had plenty of 20-win seasons at JMU, and then he comes over, and he and Turge are close, and Turge knows he can trust him and leave his team with him if he had to.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job. And but I'm looking forward to this Ohio State game coming up.
They're in and out of the top 25. They've gotten as high as about 14 or 15 at one point during the season. They're a very formidable opponent.
They're a good team, and it's going to be
the big guy Weston is a problem.
Yeah, he is. He is a problem. We got to win when we played them before, but I think they had some injuries the last game, and and they're playing better.
It's always tough when you go up there, too.
It's always tough when you're going on the road. And but the way Maryland's playing right now and where their sights are, I think they'll be okay. Just got to keep handling business and keep doing what they're doing. Ohio State, I know, is right there on the cusp and, as far as trying to get solidify a berth
in the
NCAA tournament.
This, Kev, what you get when you're in the Big Ten is just what Coach Brady said. Yeah. The next 5 games are most likely tournament teams. So it's that time of year where it doesn't matter who you face. You know what I mean? And the only thing is, are you facing them at home where you don't seem to lose, or are you facing them on the road where they don't seem to lose? Yeah. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it will.
All 5 games will be.
Yeah. I got Maryland winning. Almost called it too, didn't I?
You did. You were close on your prediction, man.
68-62, and what was the score? 67-60? Almost called it. I'm telling you, you said you were going to go to Delaware, didn't you?
I didn't do it. I should have.
All right, I'm going to pump my brakes, so I'm not going to call this one.
Cover the spread by far.
Absolutely. Well, it should be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. I think they'll be fine. They just have to go in and just keep playing the way they've been playing. They're the 7th-ranked team in the country right now, and they're playing like it. Trying to get that number 1 seed.
Let's keep them rolling. Let's keep it rolling, man. Let's see if Stix can catch Tim Duncan with 10 straight double-doubles.
Oh, man, that'd be lovely.
Right?
Yep.
And let's see how Cowan follows up his Big Ten Player of the Week performance up here in Ohio. Yes, let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see next week when
whatever it is, we're gonna chop it up.
We're gonna chop it up.